Hiring the right real estate agent can make all the difference between a smooth transaction and a stressful one. So we're going to go over a couple of points today about what you should be looking for. This one I always find really interesting. And yes, it matters how many years someone has been in the real estate business and selling homes. But what's actually more important is the number of transactions they have done. The more transactions we do, the more experience we have, the more exposure we have to dealing with issues, situations, people, and honing our skills on negotiation, solving problems, and getting your deal done for you. So not only is it important to look at number of years in the business, in my opinion, I actually think it's even more important to look at how many transactions your agent is doing every year. The second thing you should look for is communication and communication style. Is your agent actually getting back to you while you're setting up an appointment to meet with them for the first time, for them to come to your house to give you a market analysis and price for your house, or how the process will go, or if you're going down to their office? Are they communicating with you? Are they responding on time? Are they giving you good information? Are they clear? Are they consistent? Are they knowledgeable? These are some of the other things you also want to look for. And also ask your agent, is there a day of the week that you don't work? Are there times of the day that you don't work? When can I get a hold of you? When is not a good time? Your agent should be available to you, and this may cause some controversy, but in my opinion, you need to be available almost 24/7. You will hear a lot of people talking about boundaries and setting time, and I'm not going to answer my phone after 7 o'clock. In my opinion, because your house is so tied to your daily living and your life, and therefore it adds on this extra level of stress, you want to have an agent who is going to get back to you within a decent amount of time. And for me, that's like 1 to 3 hours. Now, if you're sending a text at 10 o'clock at night, should I expect a response at 10 or 10:30 or 11? Probably not. But you know what? I should expect a response by about 9 o'clock the next day. This is another key one, and that's marketing. Now, we all kind of have a marketing style that we use, but something that's really important, my biggest pet peeve on marketing, is when you see those terrible smartphone photos and they're at a weird angle and they're dark and the picture just doesn't look like anything. It's not reflective of the house. You really want to have good representation of the house. Professional photography is so incredibly important. Video tours are amazing. Buyers love a video tour because they can see the flow of the house. They get some extra details in there that they're maybe not getting from the photos. So you have the professional photos, so you have still photography because people like to study those, and then you have video, which gives a nice flow for the property. You also want a floor plan. A lot of people want to see how big the rooms are and how they line up with other spaces in the house. And you also want to make sure your listing is going to get on as many eyeballs as absolutely possible. Let's talk about negotiation style. Now, this is something that typically doesn't come up when people are interviewing for a real estate agent. They almost never ask about, how are you going to negotiate for me? What is your style? How is your process? And one of the key points on negotiating is that you really want to separate the emotions from the negotiation. You want to stick to the facts. You want to stick to getting a deal. You want to stick to bringing those two parties together where everyone is going to feel good about the transaction, because no matter what, at the end of the day, a buyer always feels like they paid too much. A seller always feels like they sold for not enough money. So we're working towards getting everyone towards a good deal that is solid. You have a buyer that's going to actually remove the subjects and go through with the purchase. That's also super important. We also want to do a little bit of due diligence before we get to the negotiating part so that we know we're dealing with a qualified buyer. Almost the same on the selling side. We want to know that the seller is actually really serious about selling and maybe isn't testing the market with their price. But when it comes to negotiation, one of the key factors is keeping emotions out of it. We are working for both sides of the parties boundaries. Of course, our responsibility first and foremost is always going to be to our own client, whichever side we're representing. We also want to marry that with making sure it balances out, everyone's getting a good deal, because sometimes there's going to be one party that is eventually going to say, that's it, I'm not doing anything else. And then it's up to the other party to determine if they're satisfied with that and if it's going to work for them. And part of that is looking at the big picture of really what you want to do. Doing this, is it going to get me to where I want to go? Is it going to make my life and my plan better? Is it going to achieve my goals of the next step? So make sure that your agent can negotiate, take the emotions out of it, but also is getting that offer to you quickly and is really going through the points, understanding the contract, knowing what the ramifications are for you, and making sure that you understand what that offer means. Another thing I would suggest you do when you're checking for an agent is it's always good to ask a friend or a family member for a referral. Most people you know have bought or sold real estate and they've either had a really positive experience or maybe not a great experience with their agent. And people should be left feeling that their agent represented them and worked on their best behalf. That is always what it comes down to at the end of the day. And you want to make sure that you have received the best information, you received all the information, because another big part of our job is being knowledgeable about what's going on, where prices are going, what the neighborhood is like. There's nothing worse than going into a neighborhood, and maybe it's not the best neighborhood, and you know what? If you know that up front, you can make a decision if that's the neighborhood you want to be in, because maybe everything else has really good points. So you're okay with maybe not being in the best neighborhood, but you really love the house and it's close to all the things that you need and the price is great, or it's your first house and it's getting you in the door. That is something you really need to look at. So make sure that your agent is communicating those things with you and saying, you know what, hey, this might not be the best area and you can expect to see some of this, but you know what, if I know that information up front, then I know that I'm going to be able to walk away and have made a decision and then not moved into my new house and learn this after the fact. Nothing worse than that. So what do you really want to look for when you're selecting a real estate agent? Communication, negotiation style, marketing, knowledge, and are they not going to actually tell me every single thing I need to know in order to make a really informed decision, and one that's going to work best for me, my personal life, my situation, and those goals that I want to have when it comes to moving. Especially for residential real estate, life starts at home, and you want to make sure that your home is the best home possible at that point in time of your life. Thanks for watching. And of course, if you have any questions at all, make sure to drop me a comment. You can send me a DM. I'm always happy to answer your questions. See you on the next one.